The sun was just beginning to rise over the small town of Willowbrook. Its soft golden light spilled across the cobblestone streets, painting everything in a warm, peaceful glow. Birds chirped cheerfully, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the tall oak trees that lined the main street. It seemed like any ordinary day, yet something in the air hinted that today would be different. At the edge of town, in a modest brick house covered with ivy, lived a boy named Liam. He was 12 years old, with curious green eyes and a restless energy that made it hard for him to stay in one place. Liam loved exploring, always searching for new adventures, even if it meant getting into trouble. His parents often warned him to be careful, but he could never resist the pull of the unknown. That morning, Liam awoke to a strange sound. It was faint at first, like the whisper of wind through the cracks of the window, but then it grew louder, more urgent. He rubbed his eyes and sat up, listening closely. The sound seemed to come from the attic, the old, dusty part of the house his parents always told him to avoid. But Liam's curiosity overpowered caution. He grabbed a flashlight, slipped on his sneakers, and quietly climbed the narrow stairs that led to the attic. The door creaked as he pushed it open. Moonlight, though faint in the morning, streamed through the small attic window. Dust floated in the air, glowing like tiny stars in the light of his flashlight. Boxes of old clothes, books, and forgotten toys were stacked in uneven piles. Liam moved carefully, his heart beating fast. Then he saw it. A small, wooden chest, unlike anything else in the attic, sat in the far corner. Its surface was carved with strange symbols that seemed to shift under the light. Liam's fingers itched to touch it. The chest looked old, ancient, almost, but it had a mysterious glow, as if it were alive. Hesitating for only a moment, he knelt down and lifted the lid. Inside was a book, bound in dark leather. Its cover was etched with the same strange symbols, and the pages shimmered faintly. As Liam opened the book, he felt a sudden rush of wind, though the window was closed. Words began to appear on the pages, writing themselves as he watched. The letters glowed softly, forming sentences that seemed to speak directly to him. Liam, the book whispered, in a voice only he could hear. You have been chosen. A journey awaits you beyond the world you know. Danger and wonder lie ahead, but only the brave will succeed. Will you take the first step? Liam's heart pounded. He looked around, half expecting someone to be watching, but the attic was empty. The words on the page seemed to beckon him, and a sense of excitement mixed with fear filled his chest. He had always dreamed of adventure, of discovering something no one else had seen, and now, it seemed, the chance had come. Without thinking twice, Liam nodded. Yes, he whispered. I'll do it. The book's pages flared with light, and the attic seemed to fade around him. The world twisted and shifted, colors blending into each other, until Liam felt as if he were falling through the air. And just as suddenly, he landed, softly, but not in the attic. He was standing in a dense forest, taller than any tree he had ever seen, with shadows dancing between the trunks. Strange creatures moved just beyond his vision, and the air was thick with the smell of damp earth and wildflowers. Liam looked at the book in his hands. It had vanished. In its place was a small map, glowing faintly, showing paths that twisted and turned into places he could not name. Somewhere deep inside, he knew he had crossed into another world, one full of mystery and adventure, and that his life would never be the same again. He took a deep breath, tightened the straps of his backpack, and stepped forward into the forest, ready to face whatever awaited him. Liam stepped carefully through the forest, his eyes wide with wonder. The trees were enormous, their branches twisting like the arms of giants, and their leaves shimmered in colors he had never seen before: deep purples, bright blues, and fiery reds. Strange sounds echoed around him, soft whispers, the rustle of movement, and occasional sharp clicks, as if tiny creatures were watching from the shadows. He followed the glowing map in his hand. The lines on it pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat, leading him deeper into the forest. Every step felt heavier, yet more exciting, as if the forest itself was testing him. Soon, Liam came to a clearing. In the center stood a stone arch, covered in moss and glowing faintly with a pale, green light. Symbols similar to those on the book in the attic were carved into the arch, and Liam felt a strange pull toward it. As he approached, The ground beneath him trembled slightly. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a tall creature, neither human nor animal. Its skin was dark and smooth, almost like polished wood, and its eyes glowed like tiny lanterns. Liam froze. The creature spoke in a deep, melodic voice. "Traveler," it said, "you have entered the forest of whispers. Few dare step here, and fewer still leave unchanged. To pass, you must answer the question of the forest. What do you seek?" Liam hesitated. What did he seek? Adventure? Knowledge? Or something he had not yet understood? He thought of the book, the mysterious glow, and the promise of danger and wonder. He swallowed hard and replied, "I seek to find my place in this world and to discover what I am capable of." The creature's glowing eyes studied him for a long moment. Then it stepped aside, bowing slightly. "Your answer is honest. Proceed. But remember, every choice you make here shapes who you become." As Liam passed under the arch, he felt the air change. The forest became denser, the shadows deeper, and the whispers louder. He could no longer see the path clearly, but the glowing map still pulsed in his hand, guiding him forward. Then, without warning, the ground beneath him gave way. He fell into a hidden tunnel, landing with a thud on soft moss. Looking around, he realized the tunnel led underground, carved out of stone and lined with glowing crystals. Their light was gentle but enough to reveal strange carvings on the walls, depictions of creatures, battles, and strange machines that looked like they belonged to a world far beyond imagination. Liam ran his fingers over the carvings, feeling a connection, as if the forest itself were trying to tell him a story. Suddenly, he heard a faint growl behind him. Liam spun around. From the shadows, a small, fox-like creature with wings and glowing eyes emerged. It stared at him curiously, tilting its head. Liam took a cautious step back. The creature didn't attack. Instead, it bounded forward and nudged a small key toward him. The map pulsed again, pointing to a distant door at the end of the tunnel. Liam picked up the key and held it tightly. Somewhere inside, he felt a spark of hope and excitement. He didn't know what lay beyond the door, but he knew this was only the beginning. The forest had tested him, the underground tunnel had challenged him, and the small winged fox seemed to want him to continue. Taking a deep breath, Liam moved forward, feeling the thrill of adventure in every step. Behind him, the shadows of the tunnel seemed to watch, and the whispers of the forest grew louder, as if cheering him on. For the first time, Liam realized that he was not just a boy who stumbled into another world. He was becoming a traveler, an explorer, someone who could face the unknown and survive. And whatever waited at the end of this tunnel, he was ready. The tunnel seemed endless, winding like a serpent through the earth. Liam's footsteps echoed off the walls, and the soft glow from the crystals lit his way, casting strange shadows that danced and twisted as he moved. The small winged fox stayed close, flitting ahead and looking back as if urging him onward. At last, Liam reached the door the map had shown him. It was enormous, carved from dark wood with iron bands, and strange symbols shimmered faintly along its surface. The key the fox had given him pulsed in his hand. Taking a deep breath, Liam inserted it into the lock. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a vast underground chamber, filled with mist and soft, floating lights. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and atop it, a small crystal orb glowed with an inner fire. Liam's heart raced. He stepped closer, but as soon as his fingers brushed the orb, the floor beneath him trembled violently. The mist thickened, swirling into shapes, giant shadowy figures with glowing eyes that seemed to float just beyond reach. "Who dares disturb the chamber of truth?" A deep, echoing voice boomed. Liam froze. He had expected challenges, but not a voice that seemed to come from the air itself. The shadowy figures began to circle him, moving silently, yet with an unmistakable presence. I am Liam," he stammered. "I seek to learn, to grow, to understand what I am capable of." The shadows paused, as if considering his words. One stepped forward, revealing itself to be more defined, a towering figure with a cloak of smoke and eyes like molten gold. "Very well, young seeker. To claim the power of the orb, you must prove your courage, wisdom, and heart. Only then can you step into the path that lies beyond this chamber." Before Liam could ask what that meant, the shadows split into three paths, each glowing faintly. Symbols hovered above them: a flame, a star, and a tree. The figure spoke again: choose wisely. Each path tests a different part of you. Flame tests courage. Star tests wisdom. Tree tests your heart. The choice is yours, but only one path leads to the truth you seek. Liam's mind raced. He thought of the forest, the underground tunnel, the fox, and the whispers guiding him. His instincts pulled him toward the path of the tree. He stepped forward, the shadows receding to allow passage. The chamber shifted around him, the mist thickening, the air warm and heavy. The path was narrow, carved from roots and stone, winding upward. The orb floated above him, glowing brighter as if approving his choice. The fox flew ahead, occasionally looking back to make sure he followed. Every step felt heavier, not from the weight of the tunnel, but from the feeling that he was walking not just through a passage, but through his own courage, wisdom, and heart. Strange whispers echoed, sometimes warnings, sometimes encouragement, but Liam kept moving, determined. At last, the path ended at a small opening, where sunlight streamed in from above. Liam blinked, his eyes adjusting. The world outside was unlike any he had seen. Forests with trees taller than mountains, rivers glowing faintly with light, and creatures that seemed to hum with magic. For the first time, Liam felt the true scale of the world he had entered. The orb floated beside him, and the winged fox perched on his shoulder, ready for the next step. Liam smiled, realizing that this was no longer just an adventure. It was the beginning of everything he had ever dreamed of, and more. He stepped out into the sunlight, knowing that the challenges ahead would test him like never before. But he was ready. The sunlight bathed Liam's face, but it didn't feel like the sunlight he knew. It was warmer, almost alive, and it shimmered like liquid gold as it fell over the alien landscape. Liam took a cautious step forward, his heart pounding in excitement and fear. The winged fox flitted around him, its tiny wings beating furiously, eyes bright with curiosity. As he walked through the glowing forest, Liam noticed the trees were alive in a way that went beyond ordinary plants. Their roots twisted and pulsed like veins. Their leaves shimmered with colors that shifted with every glance, and faint whispers hummed from them. Soft, melodic, almost like voices calling secrets he didn't understand. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath him. Liam froze, and from the shadows of the giant trees emerged a creature unlike anything he had ever imagined. It had the body of a massive wolf, but covered in scales that sparkled with every color of the rainbow. Its eyes were deep pools of silver, intelligent and fierce, and a low growl rumbled from its chest. Liam instinctively raised his hands, unsure whether to run or fight. The fox hovered nervously near his shoulder, letting out a small squeak. But then, the creature spoke, not with words, but directly into his mind. "Why do you enter my forest, child of another world?" I'm seeking the path beyond the chamber of truth," Liam answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "I mean no harm. I want to learn to grow." The creature tilted its massive head, considering him. "Many have come before, seeking power or glory. Few seek understanding. You may pass, but first, you must prove your worth." Before Liam could ask how, the forest around him shifted. The trees bent and twisted, forming a labyrinth of roots and glowing vines. The wolf-like guardian's eyes glowed brighter. "Survive the maze, and the path to the next stage will open. Fail, and you will become part of the forest forever." Liam's pulse raced. He glanced at the fox, who chirped encouragingly. Steeling himself, he stepped into the labyrinth. The walls of roots seemed alive, moving slowly, forcing him to dodge and weave. Strange creatures peeked from the shadows, glimmering insects that darted like sparks, tiny serpents that hissed in the air, and faint, whispering spirits that tried to distract him. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed. Time seemed twisted. Liam's courage was tested with illusions of danger, voices calling him to turn back, and visions of failure. But he remembered the orb in his pocket, its warmth reminding him of the path he had chosen. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached the center of the labyrinth. The wolf guardian awaited, but now it bowed its massive head. The whispers of the forest quieted. "You have proven courage, heart, and focus. The path beyond is yours. But know this, what awaits you will challenge every belief you hold. Are you ready?" Liam nodded, swallowing the fear rising in his throat. The fox chirped excitedly, and the wolf guardian stepped aside, revealing a staircase of light that led upward, disappearing into the clouds above. Liam took the first step, his heart pounding with anticipation. Whatever lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain. This journey was only just beginning. The staircase of light stretched endlessly above Liam, but he felt no fear, only a strange sense of destiny pulling him upward. The fox hovered beside him, its wings beating quickly, while the wolf guardian's eyes glimmered from below, watching silently. Each step felt heavier, yet somehow necessary, as though the path itself demanded his determination. Finally, Liam reached the top, stepping into a vast floating platform suspended in the clouds. The air shimmered with energy, and he could see islands of rock hovering in the distance, connected by bridges of light. But before him stood a figure cloaked in shadows, tall and imposing, with glowing red eyes that pierced through the mist. "Who dares enter the ascendant realm?" the figure demanded, its voice echoing like thunder. Liam's heart skipped a beat. He had not expected to face a being so powerful so soon. I am Liam," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I seek knowledge, guidance, and to find the truth beyond the chamber of truth." The shadowed figure laughed, a low, chilling sound that made the clouds ripple. "Many have come with the same claim, yet all have fallen. Tell me, boy, why should I let you pass?" Liam's gaze fell to the orb in his pocket. Its warmth reminded him of the courage that had carried him through the labyrinth. He raised it, letting its soft light shine. "Because I do not seek power for myself. I want to understand to learn. I will not harm anyone unjustly. I will face any challenge, no matter how difficult." For a moment, the figure was silent. Then, with a sudden movement, it struck, not with weapons, but with a surge of energy that forced Liam to leap back. The fox squeaked and darted around him, helping him evade the attack. "You speak of courage," the figure said, voice sharper now. "But words alone mean nothing. Prove it." The air shimmered, and the platform transformed. Liam now stood on a narrow ridge suspended over endless clouds, the wind howling around him. The shadowed figure advanced, its form shifting, splitting into multiple copies that lunged from all directions. Liam's heart raced, but he remembered the lessons of the labyrinth: focus, patience, and belief in himself. He dodged, leapt, and used the orb to deflect the energy blasts. Each movement felt like a test of not just skill, but mind and spirit. The fox guided him, chirping when danger was near, while Liam began to sense the rhythm of the attacks, predicting where the shadow would strike next. Finally, with a burst of courage, he channeled the orb's light into a single, blinding wave. The shadows screamed and dissipated, leaving the figure kneeling before him, its glowing eyes softer now. "You have strength beyond your years," it said quietly, "and a heart that seeks truth, not conquest. Rise, Liam, for the next trial awaits. But beware, the real challenges lie not in strength alone, but in the choices you make." Liam exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. The floating islands stretched endlessly before him, and he knew that his journey was far from over. Every step forward would test him in ways he had never imagined, but he was ready. And somewhere deep within the clouds, a new adventure silently awaited, whispering promises of danger, discovery, and destiny. The shadowed figure faded into the mist, leaving Liam alone on the floating platform. His legs trembled from the recent battle, but a strange excitement filled him. Around him, the islands of the ascendant realm stretched endlessly, glowing with soft colors that shifted like the northern lights. Bridges of light connected the islands, and faint whispers seemed to float on the wind, as if the realm itself were alive and watching him. The fox fluttered ahead, tail flicking nervously. "We need to keep moving, Liam. There's something waiting for us, something important." Liam nodded, gripping the orb tightly. Every step along the glowing bridge felt weightless, yet he felt the invisible pull of the realm guiding him. As he approached the nearest island, he noticed strange statues carved from crystal, figures frozen mid-motion, each holding a different object: a sword, a scroll, a lantern. They seemed almost alive, their eyes reflecting his own uncertainty and courage. Suddenly, a soft voice called out from the center of the island. "Welcome, traveler." Liam turned and saw a small figure emerging from a shimmering pool of water. It looked humanoid, but its skin glimmered like liquid silver, and its eyes held the depth of countless stars. "I am Celera, keeper of the Ascendant Isles," the figure said. "Few reach this place with a pure heart. The path you walk is not just one of strength, but of choice, wisdom, and compassion. Your next trial is not a battle, but a test of understanding." Liam stepped forward cautiously. "What must I do?" Celera smiled, and the crystal statues around the island began to move. They formed a circle, each holding a symbol that glowed brighter than before. These represent the paths of the heart, mind, and spirit. You must choose wisely, for each path will shape not just your journey, but your destiny. But beware, what seems simple may hide great danger, and what appears perilous may hold the greatest reward. The fox twitched nervously, as if sensing the gravity of the choice. Liam looked at the statues, their eyes following him. He felt the weight of every step he had taken, the labyrinth, the shadows, the floating staircases, and realized that every challenge had prepared him for this moment. With a deep breath, Liam stepped closer to the statue holding the lantern. Its glow pulsed warmly, calling to him in a way that felt both familiar and strange. As his fingers touched the light, a surge of energy coursed through him, revealing glimpses of the realm's history, forgotten civilizations, fallen heroes, and secrets that had been hidden for centuries. Celera's voice echoed softly in his mind. "Remember, Liam, the light guides those who listen, not those who rush. Choose with care, and you may uncover truths that even the shadows fear." The orb in his pocket hummed, syncing with the lantern's glow. Liam's heart pounded, not with fear, but with the thrill of discovery. He realized that the Ascendant Realm was not merely a place of trials. It was a mirror of his own spirit, reflecting the courage, wisdom, and choices that would define his destiny. And so, with a steady hand and a determined heart, Liam prepared to step onto the path that would forever change him, knowing that the real adventure had only just begun. As Liam's hand rested on the glowing lantern, the air around him shimmered, and the island seemed to dissolve into a swirling mist of colors. When the haze cleared, he found himself standing at the edge of a vast forest, but it was unlike any forest he had ever seen. The trees stretched impossibly high, their trunks twisting like living sculptures, and their leaves glowed faintly, pulsing as if breathing. The ground beneath his feet was soft, almost like walking on clouds, and tiny lights, like floating fireflies, danced in the air, forming patterns that seemed to guide him forward. The fox scampered ahead, its tail brushing against the glowing flora. "This is the verdant labyrinth," it whispered. "Many have entered, thinking it's just a forest. Few have left unscathed. The paths shift, and the forest knows your fears, your doubts, even your hopes. Be careful, Liam. It will test more than your body." Liam felt a shiver run down his spine but nodded, gripping the orb tightly. As he stepped forward, the forest seemed to respond to his movements. A path would appear, only to vanish moments later, forcing him to choose quickly. Shadows twisted between the glowing trunks, whispering doubts. "You are not ready. Turn back. You cannot face what comes next." But the lantern's light in his hand burned steadily, pushing back the whispers. He remembered Celera's words. "The light guides those who listen, not those who rush." Taking a deep breath, Liam focused on the warmth of the lantern, letting it calm his racing heart. Hours, or perhaps days, seemed to pass as he navigated the shifting paths. Then, in a small clearing, he saw a creature unlike any he had encountered. Half stag, half dragon, with eyes like molten gold and wings that shimmered with every color of the forest. It watched him silently, its gaze piercing, and then spoke in a voice that rumbled like thunder and flowed like water. "Traveler, you have come far. The forest sees your heart and your courage. But before you can leave this place, you must face what you fear the most, not outside, but within yourself." The fox whimpered and hid behind Liam's legs. Liam swallowed his fear. He realized the creature was right. The challenges, the trials, the labyrinth, the shadows, they had all been preparing him for this moment. The forest wasn't just testing his strength. It was demanding honesty, bravery, and self-trust. Liam stepped forward, raising the lantern higher. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady. I will face whatever comes, even if it terrifies me. The creature's eyes gleamed brighter. The forest seemed to hold its breath. And then, in a burst of golden light, the verdant labyrinth shifted again, opening a path that Liam knew would lead him closer to the heart of the ascendant realm, and to the answers he had been seeking all along.